Drag her out! Kola Daniels' voice cracked across Sagamu Civic Hall like a whip. Two security officers seized Zara Bello by both arms. Her staff card snapped from her neck. 41 compensation files scattered across the polished floor, sliding beneath expensive shoes while cameras flashed. She stole 7 million from retired workers, Kola shouted, pointing at her as though she were dirt. An ordinary records clerk trying to hold a billion-naira project hostage. That document is forged, Zara cried, twisting against their grip. Those people paid for that land. You cannot erase them because they are old. Mercy Okoro struggled to her feet, trembling behind her walking stick. She is telling the truth. Kola turned on her. Sit down, old woman. Your generation contributed small change, and now you think you own Ogun State? The hall erupted. Then a calm voice came from the last row. Remove your hands from her. Everybody turned. Kola's face collapsed. Ikenna Okafor, the billionaire they believed was still in America, stood there in a cobalt blue suit, holding 19 unopened letters, and what he was about to expose would destroy everything. Before we continue, subscribe now, comment your city and local time, and do not leave, because the truth inside those letters will shock you. 12 days earlier, Lagos was still rubbing sleep from its eyes when Ikenna Okafor walked out of the arrivals hall at Murtala Muhammed International Airport. There was no brass band, no convoy, no company photographer waiting to capture his return. He carried one black leather bag and wore a plain navy jacket over a white shirt. His beard was neatly trimmed, but the tiredness around his eyes was not something money could hide. 11 months in America had given him a successful acquisition, 3 new warehouses, and a deeper ache in his chest whenever he remembered home. His phone vibrated before he reached the taxi area. A message from Kola Daniels appeared on the screen. Good morning, sir. Atlanta board call moved to 2 p.m. Nigerian time. Nigeria operations remain stable. Sagamu expansion at 96% readiness. Safe travels whenever you return next month. Ikenna stopped walking. He read the last sentence twice. Whenever you return next month. Kola did not know he was already in Nigeria. That was exactly how Ikenna wanted it. He had told no one except the chairman of the audit committee and one elderly cousin in Surulere. Even his driver had not been informed. For months, every report from Nigeria had looked perfect. Revenue was up, delivery losses were down, staff complaints had reduced. The Sagamu expansion project was presented as proof that Okafor Meridian Cold Logistics could become West Africa's largest private cold chain network. Still, something had been disturbing him. Too much perfection. The dashboards were clean. Too clean. At 6:42 a.m., Ikenna entered a rented black SUV driven by a quiet man named Mr. Ajayi, who had been booked through an airport transport company. Where are we going, sir? The driver asked. Sagamu. Mr. Ajayi checked the mirror. Straight from airport? Yes. Office or factory? Neither. Founder's estate. The driver nodded and pulled into the waking traffic. Ikenna leaned back, but he did not sleep. Through the window, Lagos moved in familiar layers. Buses leaned into traffic. Hawkers lifted bread, bottled water, and phone chargers toward passing cars. A Danfo conductor slapped the metal body of his bus and shouted for passengers. Somewhere near Maryland, the smell of frying akara entered through the air vent. Home. It should have calmed him. Instead, it made him remember what he had left behind. Okafor Meridian had started with 3 refrigerated trucks bought from a failed poultry company in 2008. The first truck broke down outside ore, with 14 tons of frozen fish inside. The second had no working air conditioning. The third needed to be pushed every morning before the engine would start. People laughed at him then. They called him stubborn. They said cold chain logistics was for foreign companies with deep pockets and government connections. But a group of warehouse workers, drivers, mechanics, and nurses believed him. They accepted delayed salaries. They worked night shifts. Some contributed money when fuel prices jumped, and he could not pay suppliers. Those people became the foundation of his company. Founder's estate was supposed to honor them, not with charity, with ownership. Between 2011 and 2024, 67 workers had contributed 8% of their monthly salaries into a cooperative housing fund. The company matched part of it. 41 modest bungalows were completed on land near the Sagamu industrial corridor. Some workers shared houses. Some moved in after retirement. A small clinic was built from the cooperative's remaining funds. Ikenna had visited the estate only twice. The last time was 14 months earlier. That memory now made him uncomfortable. He had stood beneath a white canopy while Kola presented a polished report. Residents smiled for photographs. Mercy Okoro had tried to speak with him after the ceremony, but his security team hurried him toward a helicopter because of a meeting in Abuja. Next time, he had told her. Next time had become 14 months. The SUV left Lagos and joined the expressway. Traffic thinned. The morning became brighter. Warehouses, filling stations, and container yards replaced the crowded streets. At 8:11 a.m., Mr. Ajayi slowed near a metal sign that read Founder's Estate, a legacy of surface. But a second sign had been nailed across it. Meridian Gateway Expansion Zone. Ikenna sat forward. What is this? The driver glanced at him. I don't know, sir. Beyond the gate, sheets of corrugated metal formed a temporary fence. A yellow excavator stood with its bucket raised. Furniture had been placed along the roadside. Mattresses, plastic chairs, cooking pots. A wooden cabinet with one door hanging loose. 3 elderly men argued with uniformed security officers. A woman in a faded cream dress sat on a plastic chair, holding her chest. Another woman ran across the red earth with papers pressed against her body. Her orange safety vest flashed in the sun. Stop the car, Ikenna said. Mr. Ajayi pulled over. Before the SUV fully stopped, Ikenna opened the door. The heat struck him first, then the shouting. You cannot move that machine, the young woman in the orange vest yelled. The excavator driver looked down from his cabin. Madam, shift from there. My name is Zara Bello. I work in records and compliance for Okafor Meridian. Your demolition permit does not cover this clinic. A large security supervisor stepped toward her. His name tag read Bosakid Skevesis. Compliance officer? He mocked. See this one. You are a filing clerk wearing reflector like Minister of Works. I said the permit does not cover this building. You have been suspended. Your card is not working. Leave this place before we help you leave. Zara held up a stamped paper. The injunction application has been acknowledged. Until the court reviews it, any demolition may be challenged. The supervisor snatched the document from her hand. He tore it in two. Ikenna stopped 3 meters away. His face changed. Zara stared at the torn paper on the ground. For 1 second, she looked smaller than she had before. Then she bent down, picked up both pieces, and placed them inside her folder. You have just destroyed evidence, she said. The supervisor laughed. Evidence? Ordinary photocopy? He knocked the folder from her hands. Pages scattered into the mud. Some landed face down. Some floated on a shallow puddle beside the clinic wall. Zara dropped to her knees and began gathering them. Leave her alone, an elderly voice said. The woman in the cream dress pushed herself up from the chair. She was thin. Her grey hair was covered by a faded blue scarf. A walking stick trembled in her right hand. Faith Adeyemi stood beside her in a bright purple suit, holding a black document folder. Mrs. Okoro, Faith said, we have explained this matter many times. Sign the release form, collect your check, and allow development to continue. Mercy Okoro looked at the paper. This paper says I accepted full compensation. Yes, I have not received 1 naira. The check will be processed after signature. Mercy lifted her head. Then the paper is a lie. Faith's expression did not change. It is a standard settlement instrument. Standard lie is still lie, my daughter. One of the retired workers murmured agreement. Faith's jaw tightened. Mrs. Okoro, this company has been generous to all of you. These houses were built through company welfare. No. Mercy struck the ground once with her stick. We paid 8% of our salaries, every month, 13 years. Faith closed the folder. Your small contributions did not buy this land. Mercy's breathing became shallow. They bought our share. The security supervisor pulled the chair away, perhaps to force Mercy to move from the path. The chair leg caught Mercy's cloth. She stumbled. Her small nylon bag fell open. 2 medicine packets rolled across the dirt. The blue scarf slipped from her head. Ikenna saw her face clearly. The world around him went quiet. Not silent. Quiet in the way it becomes quiet when the mind refuses to accept what the eyes have seen. He remembered a different Mercy. 37 years old. Strong. Fast. Wearing a white nurse's uniform at a private clinic in Mushin. He remembered waking after a road accident and finding her beside his bed. He remembered her arguing with the cashier because they wanted to discharge him before his uncle arrived with money. He remembered her paying Blinder 18, 400 from her own pocket and refusing to tell his mother. He remembered her saying, "Your life cannot wait for receipt." Now Mercy was on her knees in red mud, in front of a machine carrying his company logo. Ikenna moved. Stop. The word was not loud. Everybody heard it. Faith looked at him, but recognition did not come immediately. He wore sunglasses and a plain jacket. His beard was fuller than in the company portraits. The security supervisor stepped forward. Who are you? Turn off that machine. You are standing on a restricted site. Turn it off. The supervisor looked toward Faith. Faith frowned. Sir, this is company property. Please leave. Mercy raised her face. Her eyes settled on Ikenna. Her lips parted. Ike? He pressed one finger lightly against his mouth. Mercy stopped. The excavator engine continued to rumble. Ikenna walked past the supervisor, climbed the side step, and opened the cabin door. Switch it off, he told the driver. The driver hesitated. Then he saw Ikenna's eyes. He turned the key. The engine died. The sudden silence exposed every breath in the compound. Faith lifted her phone. I am calling the police. Call an ambulance first, Ikenna said. That woman is struggling to breathe. I am fine, Mercy whispered. You are not. Ikenna removed his jacket, folded it, and placed it beneath her head as Zara and another resident helped her sit. Zara stared at him. Do you know her? She asked. Who are you? He looked at the machine, the torn papers, the furniture in the road, and the frightened workers standing behind the fence. Then he looked at Faith. Not yet, he said. A local clinic ambulance arrived 11 minutes later. Mercy was placed on a stretcher. Faith tried to follow, but Mercy reached for Zara's hand instead. You come, Mercy said. Zara climbed into the ambulance. Ikenna followed. Faith stood in the dust, watching the doors close. As the vehicle drove away, she made a call. Cola, she said. We may have a problem. At the private clinic in Sagamu, Mercy was treated for an asthma attack triggered by stress and dust. The doctor kept her under observation. Zara sat beside the bed with dried mud on her knees and a torn sleeve at her elbow. Ikenna stood near the window. He had removed his sunglasses. Zara had recognized him 15 minutes earlier. She had not greeted him with excitement. She had not asked for a photograph. She had simply stared. "You are Ikenna Okafor." "Yes, the owner, founder and group chairman." Same thing to people outside the boardroom. Mercy's breathing eased. She turned her head toward him. "You came back. I should have come earlier." Mercy studied him for a moment. Then she looked at Zara. "Bring my bag." Zara lifted the old brown handbag from beneath the chair. "Inside pocket," Mercy said. Zara opened it and removed a thick, transparent envelope. 19 photocopied letters were inside. Each one was addressed to Ikenna Okafor. Each one carried the official received stamp of the executive office in Victoria Island. Ikenna took the first letter. The date was 8 months earlier. "Dear Mr. Okafor, we write as members of the Founders Estate Cooperative to report that company representatives are asking us to sign forms, surrendering our homes. We were told the land now belongs fully to the company, although our salary deductions financed the purchase. ... He picked up another. Then another. The language became more urgent with every page. The 6th letter reported that water supply had been cut. The 9th said security guards were preventing visitors from entering. The 12th listed the names of residents who had not received payment despite company records claiming otherwise. The 17th reported that the clinic had been marked for demolition. The 19th was dated 6 days earlier. Ikenna read until his eyes blurred. "All these reached my office?" he asked. Mercy gave a tired laugh. "The stamps did not jump there by miracle. I never saw them. I know. How? That is what you must find out." Zara leaned against the wall. "We sent copies by courier, registered post, and internal dispatch." Everyone was acknowledged. Ikenna looked at her. "Why were you at the estate this morning?" "Because the demolition notice was wrong." "Wrong how?" "The permit covered 2 abandoned storage buildings, not the clinic or occupied homes. I flagged it. They suspended me yesterday. For what? Unauthorized access to confidential project files." "Were you authorized?" "I work in records integrity. The files entered my review queue because signatures did not match. I did my job." "Who suspended you?" "Kola Daniels, through Faith Adeyemi." Ikenna lowered his eyes to the letters. A familiar signature appeared on a demolition approval attached to one of them. His signature, digital. Clean. Undeniable. He checked the date. March 18. On March 18, he had been in Chicago presenting the Atlanta acquisition to lenders. He had approved no demolition that day. Still, the document carried his name. Mercy watched him carefully. "They said you signed it," she said. Ikenna did not answer. He touched the bottom of the page, as though the paper might burn him. Outside the clinic window, trucks moved along the expressway. The sound came and went like distant thunder. For the first time since his plane landed, Ikenna understood that he had not returned home to inspect a project. He had returned to a crime committed with his authority. And somewhere inside his own company, somebody believed he would never look closely enough to know. Ikenna left the clinic at 11:26 a.m. with the 19 letters inside his leather bag. He did not call Kola. He did not call Faith. He did not go to the Victoria Island headquarters. Instead, he stood beside the rented SUV and dialed a number he had not used in almost 2 years. A woman answered on the 4th ring. "Chief, Madam Nkiru." Her voice became alert. Nkiru George chaired the Audit and Risk Committee of Okafor Meridian's holding company. She was 62, sharp-minded, and famously unimpressed by wealthy men who mistook ownership for competence. "You are in Nigeria," she said. "How did you know? You only call me chief when there is fire." "There is fire. How large?" "I don't know yet." "Then assume it is larger than what you can see." Ikenna looked back at the clinic doors. "I need server logs preserved, email archives, access records for digital certificates, payment instructions linked to Meridian Gateway. No one in Nigeria operations must know. Nkiru was silent for 2 seconds. Do you suspect fraud? Yes. By whom? I don't want to name anyone before evidence. Good. I will contact the external forensic team. They will mirror the relevant systems under the board's audit authority. Can it be done without alerting Kola? Not forever. But for a few days, yes. I also need the original approval documents for the Sagamu expansion. You signed the project framework yourself. I know, and Kiru's tone softened by half a degree. What did you find? 19 letters I never received. Stamped by your office? Yes, and? A woman who saved my life was being forced out of a house she helped pay for. Nkiru exhaled. Do not confront anybody yet. My name is on the demolition order. That is another reason not to confront anybody yet. Anger is not evidence, Ikenna. I know. No, you know it in theory. Today you will practice it. The call ended. Ikenna told Mr. Ajayi to drive to Okafor Meridian's training center on the quieter side of Sagamu. The center was usually used for driver safety courses and warehouse certification. It had 8 small guest rooms, a kitchen, and a backup generator. The caretaker nearly dropped his keys when he saw the chairman standing at the gate. Sir, nobody told us. That is the point. Within 20 minutes, Ikenna had a room, a pot of black coffee, and access to a meeting office. He instructed the caretaker not to tell anyone he was there. At 12:18 p.m., Kola called. Ikenna watched the phone ring. He let it stop. A message followed. Sir, I heard there was a disturbance at Founder's estate involving a suspended employee and an unknown man. Security is handling it. Please disregard any misinformation. Ikenna read the message once. Then he forwarded it to Nkiru. At the Victoria Island headquarters, Kola Daniels paced behind his wide glass desk. His office overlooked the lagoon. The view was expensive enough to make visitors lower their voices. Kola liked that effect. Faith stood near the conference table, still wearing dust on the hem of her purple trousers. You are sure it was him? Kola asked. I did not recognize him at first, but Mercy almost called his name, and Zara looked at him like she had seen a ghost. Kola stopped pacing. His calendar shows Atlanta. Calendars do not stop planes. He would have told me. Faith folded her arms. Maybe that is why he did not. Kola picked up his phone and called again. No answer. His mouth tightened. He cannot have seen much. He saw Mercy on the ground. He saw the excavator. That can be explained as contractor misconduct. He took the ambulance with them. Kola's eyes shifted toward her. Did Mercy have the letters? I don't know. You were supposed to collect every copy. We collected what went through the office. Every copy means every copy. Faith's voice cooled. Do not speak to me as though I am your secretary. I warned you not to move the clinic before the release forms were complete. And I warned you the developer would invoke the delay penalty. The penalty is not worse than the chairman seeing an old woman in mud. Kola went behind the desk and opened a locked drawer. Inside were 3 project folders, red, black, green. He removed the red one. The Civic Hall event moves forward, he said. Faith stared at him. You want to continue? We need the signatures before he understands the structure. And if he has already understood, then we present him with a completed transaction, a government-backed development plan, and a room full of people who have collected compensation. Some have not collected. They will. Faith lowered her voice, and Zara. Kola opened the folder. Zara will become the reason the records are confused. Back in Sagamu, Zara remained at the clinic until Mercy fell asleep. At 2:07 p.m., she stepped outside and found Ikenna waiting beneath a neem tree. He had changed into a light blue shirt. His jacket was still beneath Mercy's head inside the clinic. "You have not gone back to Lagos," Zara said. "No. Why? To understand what happened." She looked at him without warmth. "What happened is that your people came with a machine." "My people?" "Your logo, your security contract, your legal director, your approval. I did not approve demolition of occupied homes, but you approved something." Ikenna did not answer immediately. Zara adjusted the strap of her faded handbag. "Sir, forgive me, but rich people always like to separate themselves from the ugly part. They approve the profit. Somebody else carries out the suffering. Then, when the suffering enters a photograph, they say, 'That is not what I meant.'" The words landed hard. Ikenna's first instinct was to defend himself. He swallowed it. "What did I approve?" he asked. "A logistics expansion subject to consent. Relocation and independent legal advice. How do you know the exact conditions?" "I saw the original project memo in the records queue. And the current version. The conditions are missing. Do you have copies?" Zara's expression changed. "Are you asking as chairman or as the man who stood at the estate?" "Both. That is the problem. Chairman can protect people. Chairman can also destroy them." Ikenna took a breath. "Then, tell me what would make you comfortable." "A written instruction from the audit committee preserving all records. Independent counsel. No private meeting with Kola or Faith present. And no request for me to surrender original documents. You have thought about this." "I have been afraid for 6 months. Fear teaches procedure." He nodded slowly. "I can arrange those conditions." "Arrange them first." She walked away. Ikenna watched her cross the clinic yard. She was not impressed by his wealth. She was testing whether his power could obey rules. By evening, Nkiru had appointed an external forensic accounting firm and a labor lawyer to advise the audit committee. A legal preservation notice was prepared. It instructed all departments to retain records related to Meridian Gateway, founder's estate, staff disciplinary actions, cooperative payments, and executive correspondence. The notice would not be released yet. The forensic team first needed to create secure copies of key systems. At 8:30 p.m., Nkiru called again. "We have an initial problem," she said. "How bad?" "Your digital signing certificate was accessed from a workstation assigned to the acting chief executive's office." "When?" "March 18, 4:17 in the morning." Ikenna stood from the desk. "That was used for the demolition approval. Likely. We need more confirmation. How did they access it?" "Your certificate token was stored in the executive credential vault. I authorized that for emergency filings. Yes, only Kola and the corporate secretary should have secondary access. Faith is the corporate secretary." The room became still. Nkiru continued. "Do not conclude from access alone. Logs can be manipulated. But the certificate was used from within their control environment. Can they delete the logs? They can try. The cloud backup is outside Nigeria." "Good. Do not sound relieved. Your governance design allowed 2 people to use your identity without real-time confirmation." "I know. No, you are beginning to know." The next morning, Zara received her suspension letter by email. It accused her of accessing confidential documents outside her assigned role, removing company property, interfering with contractors, and attempting to incite residents. At the bottom was a meeting invitation. Location: Victoria Island Headquarters. Time: 10 a.m. the following day. Attendees: Faith Adeyemi, Human Resources, Corporate Security. Purpose: Final disciplinary review. Zara read it twice in the one-room apartment she rented near the Sagamu Expressway. Her ceiling fan clicked with every rotation. A pot of rice sat untouched on the small table. Her younger cousin, who shared the apartment during the week, had already left for work. The room was quiet enough for Zara to hear the blood beating in her ears. She opened her bank app. Her balance was $43,612. Rent was due in 19 days. Her education loan payment was due in 12. The company had frozen her salary pending review. For 6 months, she had told herself she was doing the right thing. Right things did not pay rent. Right things did not stop employers from placing words like theft beside your name. Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She answered carefully. Miss Bello? Yes. My name is Yusuf Johnson. I represent the United Logistics Workers Forum. Zara stood. Who gave you my number? Mrs. Mercy Okoro. How is she? Stable. She told me you received a disciplinary invitation. How did she know? Old women know everything. Despite herself, Zara smiled. Yusuf's voice became serious. Do not attend alone. They may say the meeting is internal. Ask for the policy that prohibits representation. Do it in writing. They are accusing me of theft. Then you need counsel more, not less. I cannot afford a lawyer. The forum will provide one. Zara sat on the edge of the bed. Why? Because if they can crush one records officer for refusing to alter files, every worker who sees wrongdoing will learn to close their eyes. Her throat tightened. Do you have copies of the documents? Yusuf asked. Some. Keep originals separate. Do not write on them. Make an inventory. Record where each copy came from. If anyone gives you a new document, note the date and time. Are you saying they may accuse me of fabricating evidence? I am saying a document without a chain of custody can become an argument. A document with a clear history becomes evidence. Zara looked at the plastic storage box beneath her bed. Inside were photocopies, handwritten notes, and 3 flash drives. For the first time, she understood that collecting truth was not enough. Truth also needed protection. At 9:12 a.m. the following day, Zara entered the Victoria Island headquarters wearing a pale aqua blouse beneath her orange jacket. Yusuf walked beside her in a grey suit. A labor lawyer named Said Williams joined them at the reception desk. The receptionist's smile disappeared when she saw the 2 companions. Miss Bello, your invitation is for you alone. Zara placed a printed email on the desk. I requested the policy preventing representation. Human Resources did not respond. The receptionist called upstairs. They waited 17 minutes. Employees passed through the lobby, pretending not to stare. Finally, a security officer approached. Only Miss Bello may enter. Sade smiled politely. Then kindly provide written confirmation that the company has denied legal representation during a disciplinary meeting involving allegations of theft. The officer hesitated. Madam, I am only following instruction. Good. Ask the person giving the instruction to put it in writing. Another 9 minutes passed. Then all 3 were allowed upstairs. Faith sat at the head of a conference table. 2 HR managers sat beside her. Kola was not present. A voice recorder rested in the center. Faith gestured toward the chairs. This is an internal meeting. Your guests may observe, but they may not disrupt. Said replied. We reserve the right to advise our client. Faith looked at Zara. Miss Bello, did you access the Meridian Gateway Relocation Database on April 3, April 8, and April 14? Yes. The files entered my reconciliation queue. Did your supervisor assign them personally? The automated workflow assigned them because resident signatures failed validation. Faith slid a paper across the table. Did you remove this payment schedule from the office? Zara did not touch it. I made a copy after reporting discrepancies. You had no authorization to copy confidential beneficiary information. I followed Records Preservation Procedure 6. 2, because I believed data was being altered. One HR manager shifted in her seat. Faith's eyes narrowed. You are a records clerk. not an investigator. My job title is Records Integrity Officer, grade 6. Integrity does not start at grade 12. Yusuf looked down to hide a smile. Faith opened another folder. Did you contact residents of Founder's estate? Yes. Did you advise them not to sign company documents? I advised them to read documents and seek independent legal advice. Do you understand that you have delayed a project expected to create more than 800 jobs? Do 800 future jobs require stealing 41 homes? Faith's hand froze above the page. The room held its breath. Sade spoke quietly. Please answer the question asked, Zara. Zara nodded. Faith pushed a resignation agreement forward. If you resign voluntarily today, the company is prepared to waive further disciplinary action. You will receive 1 month's salary. You will also sign a confidentiality clause. Sade picked up the agreement. Does this mean the theft allegation is withdrawn? Faith leaned back. The company has not yet made a criminal complaint. That was not my question. The investigation is ongoing. Then why should she sign a resignation admitting misconduct? Faith's smile became thin. Because continuing this matter may damage her career. Zara looked at the signature line. Her rent came into her mind again, her loan, the possibility of being blacklisted. Then she remembered Mercy on the ground, trying to gather medicine from the dust. No, Zara said. Faith stared at her. No, I will not sign. You should think carefully. I have. Faith closed the folder. Then the company will proceed accordingly. At 4:03 p.m., Zara received a second letter. Her suspension would continue without pay. The company reserved the right to report financial irregularities to law enforcement. 2 hours later, Ikenna met Zara at a roadside restaurant outside Sagamu. He had chosen the place because it had no private rooms and too much noise for easy surveillance. Metal spoons clattered against plates. A football match played on a television mounted above the drinks fridge. Zara arrived with Yusuf and Sade. Ikenna had no assistance with him. He stood when they approached. Yusuf did not bow. Mr. Okafor, Mr. Johnson, they sat. Ikenna placed a letter on the table. It was signed by Nkiru George and confirmed the Audit Committee's preservation order. It also appointed Sade as independent counsel for employee witnesses. Zara read every line. You kept your word, she said. I am trying to. Trying is not the same as doing. I know. The waiter brought bottled water. Ikenna did not touch his. Show me the structure of the estate ownership, he said. Zara removed a bound document from her bag. The cooperative began with 67 members. Every member authorized an 8% salary deduction. The company matched half of the workers' total contribution for the first 5 years. Correct. The land was purchased in the cooperative's name, with the company holding a protective charge until construction loans were repaid. Ikenna nodded. That was the arrangement. The loans were repaid in 2024. Yes, but the company never discharged the charge. Ikenna frowned. Why? According to Faith's legal memo, the discharge was delayed for administrative review. How long? 22 months. That is not administrative delay. No, it created an opportunity. Zara turned the page. Kohler's team treated the company's old security interest as full ownership. They described residents as welfare occupants. Then they offered each household a flat payment, not based on market value or their contribution. How much? Between 2 million and 4 million, for a house and land near the interchange. Yes. Ikenna's face hardened. Yusuf spoke. Some of those houses are now worth more than platted 18 million. Did anyone receive payment? Company records say 58 members did, Zara answered. Bank records available to the residents show only 11 received anything. Even those 11 received less than the schedule claims. Where did the rest go? That is one of the questions. Ikenna looked at the signatures on the cooperative resolution. A name caught his attention. Peter Adebayo signed this? No, I attended his funeral in 2023. The resolution is dated February this year. Ikenna turned the page faster. Another name, then another. 3 dead workers had voted to sell land. 6 signatures had the same unusual loop in the final stroke. 2 members listed as present had been admitted to hospitals in other states on the date of the meeting. Ikenna sat back. The restaurant noise continued around them. Someone shouted at the football match. A plate broke near the kitchen. At their table, nobody moved. Finally, Ikenna said, "How many people know you have this?" "Enough," Zara replied. "That was not an answer. It is the only answer I can give. You think I might take it from you. I think power becomes nervous when paper starts speaking." Ikenna accepted that. Saad opened her notebook. The immediate problem is the Civic Hall event scheduled for next week. "What event?" Ikenna asked. Yusuf looked surprised. "You do not know." Zara slid a glossy invitation across the table. "Meriden Gateway to Community Compensation and Handover Ceremony. Sagamu Civic Hall. Saturday, 11 a.m. Special address by Group Chairman Ikenna Okafor, joining live from the United States." Ikenna stared at his own photograph printed beneath the title. "I am giving a special address." "So the invitation says," Zara replied. "I recorded no message." Yusuf folded his hands. "Then somebody has prepared to speak with your face." The next 3 days changed the shape of the investigation. At first, Ikenna believed the problem could be contained. Suspend the project, remove Kola and Faith. Pay the residents properly. Restore the houses. He imagined a decisive intervention. A strong chairman correcting dishonest subordinates. A public apology. A compensation package. Then business would continue. That version of the story protected him. Zara refused to allow it. On Monday morning, the audit team met at the training center. Nkiru joined by secure video. Sade sat beside Zara. Yusuf represented the cooperative members. 2 forensic accountants spread printed timelines across a long table. Ikenna stood at the head. "We have enough to stop the Civic Hall event," he said. "I will issue the order today." "Stop it on what basis?" Zara asked. "Fraud indicators. Indicators that will remain hidden." Ikenna looked at her. "You want the event to continue. I want the signing stopped. I also want the evidence exposed where the lie was meant to become official. That is risky." "For whom?" "For residents, for employees, for the company." Zara's eyes sharpened. "The company has already used its name against them. Now you are worried that the truth may harm the company?" Nkiru spoke through the screen. "Let her finish." Zara placed both hands on the table. "If you cancel privately and settle privately, Kola becomes one bad man. Faith becomes one bad lawyer. You become the good billionaire who came home and saved everybody. But that is not the full truth." Ikenna's voice cooled. "And what is the full truth? That the system allowed it. I did not design a system for theft, no. You designed a system where people closest to power controlled what power could see." The room became still. Zara continued. "Every complaint passed through Faith. Every project report passed through Kola. Your digital signature could be used without a live confirmation from you. Workers could not contact the audit committee directly. Residents were called beneficiaries, even when they had ownership documents. You did not tell them to do these things, but you built a structure where 2 people could do them and still send you beautiful graphs." Ikenna felt heat rise behind his collar. "You speak as though I wanted this. I speak as though intention does not repair damage." Sade touched Zara's wrist lightly, warning her to slow down. but Nkiru leaned closer to the camera. "She is correct," the older woman said. Ikenna turned toward the screen. Nkiru removed her glasses. The board approved a delegation framework that gave the Nigeria Executive Office extraordinary discretion during your absence. I objected to parts of it. You said speed was necessary for the American acquisition. I remember. You overruled me. Ikenna looked at the documents on the table. The memory came back with uncomfortable clarity. A board meeting 11 months earlier. A deadline from American lenders. Kola promising that Nigeria operations could run smoothly if decisions were not slowed by committee review. Ikenna had said, "I trust him." Nkiru had replied, "Governance is what remains when trust fails." He had laughed. Now nobody was laughing. Ikenna sat down. "What do you recommend?" he asked. The question changed the room. Not because he was agreeing, because he was listening. The forensic team proposed preserving evidence before any public action. The legal team warned that direct accusations could trigger defamation claims or encourage destruction of documents. Yusuf insisted that cooperative members must decide whether to participate in the Civic Hall event. Mercy joined the meeting after lunch. She arrived in the cream dress she had worn at the estate, now washed and pressed. Her blue scarf was tied firmly around her head. Zara walked beside her, carrying a small medicine bag. Ikenna stood. "Mummy Mercy, you should be resting. I rested yesterday. Today, my house is still under threat." A chair was brought for her. During a break, Ikenna asked to speak with her privately in the courtyard. The afternoon sun filtered through the neem trees. Drivers practiced reversing trucks in a distant training yard. Each warning beep traveled across the open ground. "I have been thinking," Ikenna said. Mercy looked at him. "That one is good. I can buy you another house. Anywhere you choose. Lagos, Abeokuta, Ibadan, something safer and more comfortable." Mercy's expression did not change. "For me alone? For you. And I can arrange something for the others." "Arrange what?" "Proper compensation. Better houses, if necessary." Mercy nodded slowly as though considering his words. Then she asked, "Who owns the house I am living in now?" "The cooperative should." "Should. Yes. Legally, it appears the cooperative paid enough, too." "Not. We paid." "I know." "No, my son, you are still speaking like the person who will decide whether our payment counts." Ikenna fell silent. Mercy pointed her walking stick toward the estate beyond the trees, though it was not visible from there. "I entered your company when the first cold room had leaking roof. We put buckets under the water when rain fell. I worked night duty because workers were fainting from ammonia smell. Every month, money left my salary for that land. My husband died before he could sleep one night in the house. I moved there with his photograph and one metal box." Her voice remained calm. "That house is not comfortable because you are kind. It is mine because I paid. Do not offer me another house as if I am begging you." Ikenna lowered his head. "I meant to help. Help us prove what belongs to us. I will, not with gift, with law." Mercy nodded, and with truth. That evening, the forensic accountants confirmed that 47 compensation entries had no matching bank credit. 11 had partial credits. 9 were marked cash settlement, though cooperative policy prohibited cash payments above in 200,000. 2 consulting companies had received a combined Anashibo 186 million. 1 company, Blue Haven Advisory, had been registered 5 months earlier. Its office address was a service apartment in Lekki. The apartment belonged to Kola Daniels. The second company, Green Rock Community Services, listed a sole director named Marcus Daniels, Kola's older brother. No report explained what services either company provided. The next morning, Zara's name appeared in a company-wide message subject. Notere Karegingjing Dasiker instant. The message stated that a suspended employee had removed confidential records, interfered with an authorized community program, and may have compromised beneficiary payments. No name appeared in the subject line. Her name appeared 6 times in the body. By 9 a.m., colleagues had stopped replying to her messages. At 10:15, her former supervisor sent one sentence: "Please do not contact me again." At noon, the landlord of her apartment called. "Zara, hope no problem." "No problem, sir. Somebody from your office called asking whether you still live here." Her stomach tightened. "What did they say?" "They said it is verification." "Did you give them information?" "I only said you live there." "Why?" "I don't know." That night, somebody slid an envelope beneath her door. Inside was a printed photograph of Zara kneeling in the mud at Founder's estate. Across the picture, someone had written in red ink, "File clerks should know which files can bury them." Her cousin found her standing beside the door. "What is that?" "Nothing. It does not look like nothing." Zara folded the photograph and placed it in a transparent sleeve. She called Sad. "Do not touch the envelope more than necessary," the lawyer instructed. "Place it inside another bag. Photograph where you found it. Write the time. We will report it." Zara's hands shook after the call ended. She locked the window. Then she checked it again. At 2:14 a.m., she was still awake. She imagined resigning. Not from the company, from the fight. She could hand over the documents to Ikenna, collect a settlement, leave Sagamu, and rebuild her life somewhere else. Accra, Abuja, Port Harcourt, any place where strangers did not know her as the woman accused of stealing old people's money. She opened the storage box beneath her bed. On top lay her father's final payslip from Okafor Meridian. He had operated a forklift in Warehouse 2. After his fatal accident, the company paid the required compensation, but his supervisor had blamed him for ignoring a safety line. Years later, Zara found a maintenance report showing the forklift brakes had failed inspection 2 weeks before the accident. The report had never reached the final incident file. That discovery was why she had studied records management. Not because she loved paper. Because paper remembered what powerful people preferred to forget. Her phone vibrated. A message from Mercy. "My daughter, sleep. Fear likes to make tomorrow look bigger than God." Zara read it until tears blurred the words. The next afternoon, Kola called her directly. His voice was almost friendly. "Zara, let us stop this foolishness." She activated the speaker so Said, sitting across from her in the Labor Forum office, could hear. "What foolishness, sir?" "This misunderstanding. You are talented. I have always said so. You suspended me because you forced management to respond, but matters can be corrected. How? Come to Atlantic Crown Hotel at 6. Private conversation. No lawyers, no union people." Zara looked at Sade. The lawyer wrote on a notepad, "Ask for written purpose." Zara said, "Please send the purpose of the meeting by email." Kola laughed softly. "You people and paper. Paper has been useful." His tone changed. 6 o'clock, Zara. Do not make the mistake of thinking the chairman will destroy his company because of retired cleaners and drivers. The line went dead. Said leaned back. "Will you go?" "With you nearby." "Good." At 5:53 p.m., Zara entered the lobby of Atlantic Crown Hotel wearing a simple aqua dress and low black shoes. Said waited in the restaurant, 1 floor below. Yusuf remained outside in his car. Kola sat in a private lounge overlooking the lagoon. He wore no jacket. His ruby-red waistcoat made him look dressed for celebration. A sealed bottle of water waited across from him. Zara did not drink it. "Sit," he said. She sat. Kola studied her face. "You look tired." "I have not been sleeping well. That is what happens when a person carries a load larger than her head. What do you want? Peace. For whom? For everybody. He pushed a slim folder across the table. Inside was an employment offer from Meridian, Ghana. Compliance records manager. Annual housing allowance. Relocation support. A salary nearly 4 times what Zara had earned in Sagamu. Beneath it was a settlement figure. Minor 25 million thousand. Zara stared at the number. Kola smiled. You see, nobody wants to destroy you. What do I sign? An acknowledgement that discrepancies in the estate files resulted from your misunderstanding of legacy records. You will also withdraw statements made to residents. And the theft allegation? Closed. The houses? Development will continue. Residents will be compensated. They have not been compensated. Some banking delays occurred. 3 dead people voted. Data migration error. Your brother's company received lined 94 million. For the first time, Kola's smile disappeared. You should be careful with accusations. I asked a question. You are sitting before a door that can open your life. He tapped the settlement paper. Do not allow old people who have already lived their years to close it. Zara looked at him. Is that what they are to you? People who have already used their lives. They received salaries. They built the company. Everybody says that when they want more money. He leaned forward. Listen to me. Projects like Meridian Gateway do not stop because a retired nurse is emotional about one small bungalow. 800 jobs. Foreign investment. New road access. Tax revenue. That is development. Development for whom? For people who understand the future. And those standing in the way, they move. Zara closed the folder. No. Kola stared at her. You are refusing 25 million naira. I am refusing to sign a lie. Do you know what your bank balance is? Her blood went cold. Kola saw it. He smiled again. 43,612 naira 3 days ago. Your rent is due. Your loan is overdue next month. Ghana would be kind to you. How did you get my bank information? Do not focus on small details. That is illegal. This conversation is finished. Zara stood. Kola's voice followed her. When police come for you, remember I offered peace. Zara turned at the door. No, sir. You offered a price. She left. The following morning, Faith sent a draft settlement by email. It contained the pliers 25 million figure, the Ghana posting, and the statement Zara was expected to sign. Faith had added a line requiring Zara to confirm that management had never instructed anyone to alter cooperative records. Said read the email and smiled without humor. They have just documented the bribe they will later call a settlement. It is not proof of fraud by itself, Zara said. No, but it is proof they wanted your silence tied to a false statement. Kola's response to Zara's refusal came quickly. By Friday, a video circulated through staff WhatsApp groups. It showed Zara entering the records room after working hours. The clip ended before showing her supervisor entering 2 minutes later. A caption claimed she had removed payment files on the same night. Benign. 7 million disappeared. Someone added dramatic music. Someone else posted her staff photograph beside the words "Thief" in orange. By noon, local blogs had copied the allegation. Records clerk accused of stealing retirees' compensation. Zara's phone filled with messages. Some asked whether it was true. Some called her a wicked girl. One said, "You ate old people's money and still went to fight for them. Devil has uniform." She turned off the phone. At the Labour Forum office, Yusuf found her sitting alone beside a stack of files. "You have not eaten," he said. "I am not hungry." "That is lie." He placed a takeaway pack of jollof rice on the table. Zara pushed it away. "I am tired." "I know." "No, you don't." Yusuf pulled out a chair. "My first union case was 21 years ago. A transport company blamed a driver for a crash caused by tires they refused to replace. The driver's wife begged me to help. I promised her we would win. Did you? No, Zara looked at him. The company destroyed the maintenance log. Witnesses changed their statements. We lost. Then why are you telling me this? Because I learned not to promise victory. I promise process, evidence, witnesses, persistence. Sometimes justice comes. Sometimes it comes damaged. But surrender guarantees nothing. Zara rubbed both hands over her face. What if they arrest me? Then Said goes with you. What if I never get another job? Then we fight that too. What if I am not strong enough? Yusuf opened the rice. Strength is not one large thing. Eat first. That is today's own. Zara laughed through tears. She ate 3 spoonfuls, then 5. On Saturday morning, she joined Mercy and 14 cooperative members in the small estate office that had once served as a maintenance store. They created an evidence register. Every resident brought what they had: payslips showing deductions, old cooperative receipts, bank statements, letters, meeting notices, photographs of houses during construction. One retired driver brought a notebook containing every salary deduction from 2011 to 2024. He had written each amount by hand and added them monthly. Another member brought the original minute book from the cooperative's first 7 years. Mercy placed a metal box on the table. Inside were carbon copies of letters, stamped receipts, and the original certificate showing the cooperative's beneficial interest in the land. Zara wore cotton gloves borrowed from the records office of a local law firm. She numbered each item. She did not staple originals. She did not write directly on them. She recorded who provided each document, when it was received, and where it would be stored. 3 encrypted digital copies were created. 1 went to Sade. 1 went to the audit committee. 1 went to a secure cloud account controlled by the cooperative's lawyers. "This is too much work," one elderly man complained. Zara looked up. "That is why people who do wrong hope you will not do it." By late afternoon, the evidence table showed a clear pattern. The cooperative had contributed 308,742,611 over 13 years. The company had contributed 154,900,000. The land and construction loans had been fully repaid. The company's security charge should have been discharged. Instead, Kohler's team had treated the entire estate as a company asset worth nothing to its residents. Mercy ran 1 finger across the total contribution figure. "They called it small change," she said. Ikenna, who had been standing quietly near the doorway, heard her. He entered the room. Nobody rose. He preferred it that way. Zara handed him the contribution schedule. 318,742,611 naira, she said. Not including the value of labor residence provided during construction. Ikenna read the number. Mercy watched him. "Still welfare?" she asked. "No. Still your gift. No, but good." Ikenna placed the paper back on the table. "I have decided the public event should proceed." Murmurs filled the room. One resident struck the table. "They want us to sign away our houses." "You will not sign," Ikenna said. "How will you stop them?" "By showing what they tried to do." Mercy narrowed her eyes. "And your own part?" Ikenna looked at her. "My own part will also be shown." That answer silenced the room. Later that night, the audit team found the original approval memo for Meridian Gateway. Ikenna had signed it 11 months earlier. The memo authorized preliminary development planning and land acquisition, subject to 4 conditions. Verified consent of at least 75% of cooperative members. Independent legal advice for every affected household. Full payment before relocation. no demolition of occupied structures until alternative housing was ready. A second version, submitted to the development partner, carried the same signature. But all 4 conditions were gone. The metadata showed the document had been edited 3 days after Ikenna signed. The user account belonged to Faith Adeyemi. Kola had approved the edited version. Ikenna read the files in silence. Then one of the forensic accountants placed another report before him. "Sir, there is more." The company's governance review showed that Ikenna had authorized storage of his digital certificate in the executive credential vault. He had also approved a temporary policy allowing Kola and Faith to complete time-sensitive filings without his direct confirmation. Temporary had lasted 11 months. No one had reviewed it. No independent audit had been required for the relocation project. No direct channel connected cooperative members to the board. A complaint had passed through the very executives involved in the project. Ikenna removed his glasses. "I gave them the key." Nkiru's voice came through the speaker. "You gave them a controlled key. They used it outside purpose. I also failed to check the lock." "Yes." He looked at Zara. She did not rescue him with kind words. That was another form of respect. At 1:36 a.m., alone in his room, Ikenna opened an old voice note from his late mother. She had sent it 2 years earlier. "My son, money makes people greet you before you enter the room. Do not let it make you think they told you the truth." He played it again. Then again. The next morning, he called the company's American office and postponed 3 investor meetings. He cancelled a planned interview with a business magazine. Then he drafted a statement. Not for release. For himself. "I approved the expansion framework. I allowed excessive authority to remain concentrated. I failed to verify that affected workers were heard. My signature was misused. But the system that made misuse possible operated under my leadership." He read the words aloud. They tasted bitter. He did not delete them. On Tuesday, Kola announced that the Civic Hall ceremony would include an integrity briefing concerning the missing Mine 9. 7 million. Zara's name was added to the program. Not as a speaker, as the subject of disciplinary findings. Faith prepared a payment voucher carrying Zara's signature. The signature matched perfectly, too perfectly. It had been copied from Zara's 2021 employee registration form. The voucher claimed she authorized transfer of Linda's 7 million to a temporary beneficiary account for residents without bank verification. The account belonged to a small payments agent in Ibadan. From there, the money had moved through 3 accounts and disappeared in cash withdrawals. To an ordinary audience, the voucher looked convincing. To a forensic document examiner, it contained problems. The signature resolution was higher than the surrounding text. Its black pixels had no pressure variation. The date font was 1 size smaller than the template used that month. The approval code was issued after the supposed payment date. Still, Kola did not need the document to survive a court trial that day. He needed it to destroy Zara in a room full of people before the truth could catch up. The day before the ceremony, Zara received an invitation from Sagamu Police Command to assist with an inquiry into suspected diversion of compensation funds. Her knees weakened when she read it. Said read the letter and checked the reference number. "It is an invitation, not an arrest warrant," she said. "Can they detain me? They can ask questions. We will attend together. We will carry the forensic concerns and request that your statement be recorded accurately. I have to enter that civic hall the next morning." Then we do not run. Running turns an allegation into a picture people understand too easily. At the station, Zara answered questions for 2 hours. She did not guess. When she did not know, she said she did not know. When shown the voucher, she requested a copy. When asked why her signature appeared, she explained that it resembled the signature on her personnel form. Says submitted a written request for forensic comparison and bank tracing. The investigating officer did not promise anything, but he accepted the documents. Before Zara left, he said quietly, "Madam, do not delete any messages, even foolish messages." She nodded. Outside the station, the late afternoon sky had turned grey. Rain began in large, warm drops. Zara stood beneath the narrow roof and watched water strike the road. Ikenna's SUV waited across the street. He stepped out without an umbrella. "You came," she said. "I said I would." "You could not enter." Said said my presence might look like interference. "So you waited in the car?" "Yes, for 2 hours?" "Yes." Rain darkened his shirt. Zara looked away. "Tomorrow," he said. "Kola will try to turn the room against you. I know. You can stay away. The evidence can be presented without you. No, you do not have to prove courage." "I am not going for courage." "Then why?" "Because when they call my name, I want the people whose money was stolen to see that I did not hide." Ikenna nodded. "Then I will be there." "In front?" "No." "Why?" "Because Kola must believe he controls the room long enough to show what he planned to do." Zara studied him. "And if the room turns ugly before you stand?" Ikenna looked across the rain toward the police station. "Then I stand earlier." Saturday morning arrived bright and hard. By 9:30 a.m., Sagamu Civic Hall had been transformed into a stage for obedience. A long white banner stretched above the platform, "Building Tomorrow with Dignity." Beneath it, the Okafor Meridian logo shone in blue and silver. Rows of plastic chairs faced a raised stage decorated with artificial flowers. Television crews adjusted tripods near the aisle. Local officials sat in the front row. Representatives of the development partner wore matching lapel pins and checked their watches. At the entrance, cooperative members were given white envelopes. Inside each envelope was a check, a settlement form, and a release document printed in small language. A young company assistant smiled as she handed one to Mercy. "Sign at the back table, Ma. Then your check will be activated." Mercy opened the envelope. The check was for Flynd 1, 8 million. The release form stated that she voluntarily surrendered all claims to her house, land, cooperative shares, and future legal action. She looked at the assistant. "Where is the independent lawyer?" The assistant blinked. "Ma, this paper says I received legal advice. There are lawyers inside." "Whose lawyers?" "Company lawyers." Mercy returned the papers to the envelope. "My daughter." "Company lawyer is not my lawyer." The assistant's smile faded. Behind Mercy, retired workers waited in the sun. Some could not read the small print. Some had traveled from other states because they were told payment would be cancelled if they did not attend. Yusuf moved along the line. "Do not sign anything you do not understand," he said. "Keep your envelope. We will review it." A security officer blocked him. "Sir, do not disrupt registration. I am advising cooperative members. This is a private company event. It concerns their private property." The officer reached for Yusuf's arm. A television camera turned toward them. He removed his hand. Zara arrived at 10:07 a.m. She wore an orange blazer over a pale aqua blouse. Her hair was pulled back. She carried no handbag, only a blue document case held against her chest. The crowd noticed her immediately. Whispers followed. "That is the girl. The thief. She has mind to come here." Somebody raised a phone and began recording. Zara kept walking. Her knees felt weak. She counted steps in her head. 1, 2, 3. At the 7th row, Mercy reached for her hand. "You came." "Yes, Ma." "You ate?" Zara almost laughed. "Tea. That is not food." "After." Mercy squeezed her hand. "Sit at 10:26 mm. Ikenna entered through a side door used by catering staff. He wore a cobalt blue suit and white shirt. No tie. His security aide wanted to accompany him, but Ikenna refused. Only Nkiru knew his exact seat. He sat in the final row beside an audit investigator wearing a plain brown jacket. Nkiru had arrived separately and taken a seat near the front as an invited board representative. Kola assumed she had come to observe the handover on behalf of overseas directors. He greeted her warmly. "Madam Nkiru, what a pleasant surprise." She gave him a measured smile. "I enjoy surprises." Kola wore a ruby-red suit that caught every camera flash. Faith stood beside him in bright purple, holding the program and 3 black folders. At 11:03 a.m., music faded. Kola stepped to the microphone. "Distinguished guests, respected government representatives, our development partners, members of the press, and our beloved senior workers." His voice filled the hall. "Today is a day of progress." Polite applause rose. Kola smiled. "For years, Okafor Meridian has carried the responsibility of supporting retired members of our family through subsidized accommodation at Founder's estate." Mercy's mouth tightened. "Now," Kola continued, "as our company enters a new era, that same land will create 817 direct jobs, improve cold storage for Nigerian farmers, and attract more than $24 billion in infrastructure investment." A graphic appeared on the screen behind him. Warehouses, trucks, green lawns, smiling workers in clean uniforms, no houses, no clinic, no old people. "In recognition of our senior workers' service," Kola said, "management has approved generous transition packages beyond any legal obligation." Mercy whispered, "He is giving us our own money and calling it generosity." Zara opened her document case. Kola continued for 18 minutes. He spoke of legacy. He spoke of sacrifice. He spoke of dignity while security officers watched the doors. Then Faith approached the microphone. "The compensation process is fully voluntary," she announced. "Every participant has been given adequate opportunity to review the documents." Yusuf stood. "Point of correction." Faith looked toward him. "Questions will come later." "The forms say residents received independent legal advice." They did not. A murmur spread through the hall. Kola returned to the microphone. "Mr. Johnson, please do not use this celebration for union politics. It is not politics to ask who owns the land. The company owns the land." "No." Mercy's voice was not loud, but the microphone near the front row caught it. Everybody turned. She pushed herself upright with her walking stick. "The cooperative paid for the land." Kola smiled the way people smile at a child interrupting adults. "Mummy Mercy, we respect your years of service. Please sit. 3 people who signed your resolution are dead." The hall shifted. Faith moved toward Mercy. "Ma, this is not the proper forum." "Then where is proper forum?" "We wrote 19 letters." A journalist raised her head. "19 letters to whom?" she called. Mercy pointed toward the giant portrait of Ikenna displayed beside the screen. "To him." Cameras turned toward the portrait. Kola's smile held, but his fingers tightened around the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, certain persons have circulated misinformation among our elderly beneficiaries. Management has investigated these claims." Zara stood. "I have the original cooperative contribution records." A wave of whispers moved through the hall. Kola looked at her as though surprised. "Miss Bello, I did not expect you to attend while under investigation. I was named on your program." "Unfortunately, yes." Faith touched a remote. The screen changed. Zara's staff photograph appeared beside a bold heading. "Integrity in Cent 9. 7 million payment diversion." Gasps broke across the room. Zara's stomach dropped, though she knew it was coming. Kola's voice became grave. "We did not intend to discuss an active disciplinary matter publicly." However, since Miss Bello has chosen to disrupt this event, transparency requires us to address the facts. A payment voucher appeared on the screen. Zara's signature was enlarged beneath the amount. My 9,700,000. Kola pointed at it. This employee-authorized transfer of compensation money to an unverified temporary account. The funds disappeared. When internal controls detected the loss, she removed files and attempted to blame senior management. Phones rose throughout the hall. Someone shouted, "Thief!" Another voice called, "She ate old people's money." Zara gripped the document case. Her fingers were cold. Kola stepped away from the microphone and looked directly at her. An ordinary records clerk wanted to hold a billion-naira project hostage. She believed carrying files from one office to another made her powerful. Zara walked toward the aisle. Sade rose beside her. Kola lifted one hand. Security. Two officers moved forward. Zara stopped. "That voucher is forged," she said. Kola laughed once. "Of course. Everything is forged except the paper in your own hand." The approval code was issued after the payment date. "Listen to this girl. She has learned 2 technical words, and now she is central bank." Some guests laughed nervously. Zara lifted her voice. "Those people paid Mada 3,742,611 into the housing cooperative. They are not welfare occupants. They are beneficial owners." Kola's face hardened. "You are suspended. You have no authority to speak for this company." "I am not speaking for the company." "Then know your level and sit down." The hall reacted. Zara continued walking toward the stage. Faith whispered to Kola. He shook his head. "No, let her come." Zara reached the front and held up a certified copy of the cooperative constitution. "This document requires 75% consent before land can be sold." Faith took the microphone. "That requirement was satisfied. No, your list includes dead members. Administrative errors do not invalidate the decision. Dead people cannot attend meetings." A few residents clapped. Security officers moved closer. Zara opened another file. 47 compensation entries have no matching bank credits. 11 have partial credits. 9 are recorded as cash payments against cooperative policy. Kola descended from the stage. His ruby suit seemed brighter as he approached her. "Where did you get bank records?" "From the account holders." "You collected private financial information while suspended. They gave consent. You manipulated old people." Mercy rose again. "She did not manipulate us." Kola turned on her. "Sit down, old woman." Mercy remained standing. Kola pointed toward the envelope in her hand. "Your generation contributed small change 30 years ago, and now you think you own Ogun State. Take your compensation, stop behaving like poverty has given you authority." Silence. Not one polite cough, not one moving chair. Even Kola seemed to hear what he had just said, but pride carried him forward. He turned back to Zara. "And you? You smell one scandal and think it will wash poverty from your family name. You are a filing room girl. Paper dust is not power." Zara's face went pale. She looked toward the reporters. "The original project approval required consent, legal advice, full payment, and alternative housing before demolition. Those conditions were removed." Faith stepped forward. "That statement is false. I have both versions, stolen documents, preserved documents." Kola raised his hand. "Enough. Remove her." The 2 security officers seized Zara by both arms. Her document case fell. The lock burst open. 41 compensation files scattered across the polished floor. Her staff card caught beneath one officer's hand and snapped from her neck. Cameras flashed. She stole Minder 9. 7 million from retired workers, Kola shouted. An ordinary records clerk trying to hold a billion-naira project hostage. "That document is forged!" Zara cried, twisting against their grip. Those people paid for that land. You cannot erase them because they are old. Mercy struggled to her feet, trembling behind her walking stick. She is telling the truth. Kola turned on her. Sit down, old woman. Your generation contributed small change and now you think you own Ogun State? The hall erupted. Then a calm voice came from the last row. Remove your hands from her. Everybody turned. Kola's face collapsed. Ikenna Okafor stood there in his cobalt blue suit, holding 19 letters. For 1 second, nobody recognized the scene they were seeing. The man on the banner had stepped out of the photograph. Kola's mouth opened. No sound came. Faith's pen slipped from her fingers and struck the table. A glass of water tipped beside her folder. It spilled slowly across the white cloth. No one moved to stop it. Ikenna walked down the center aisle. He did not rush. With each step, the hall became quieter. The security officers released Zara before he reached them. One bent to pick up her staff card. Leave it, Ikenna said. The officer straightened immediately. Ikenna stopped beside Zara. Are you hurt? My arm. Saad stepped forward. She needs medical review. Ikenna nodded. Document it. Then he looked at Kola. Continue. Kola blinked. Sir, you were explaining how Miss Bello stole 7 million. Kola found his voice. Yes, sir. I am glad you are here. There has been a serious internal breach. We were protecting the company from a coordinated attempt to sabotage. Who told you I was in America? Kola stopped. Your calendar, sir. My calendar also says I am speaking by video today. We prepared a placeholder in case. Where is the video? Faith answered. It was not finalized. Show me the draft. No one moved. Ikenna placed the letters on the front table. 19 letters reached my office. Not one reached me. Journalists began writing. Kola glanced toward Faith. She looked at the wet tablecloth. Ikenna turned to the audience. This event will continue. A ripple passed through the hall, but no person will sign any document. No check will be activated. No house will be demolished. What happens now is an evidence hearing under the authority of the board, audit committee. He gestured toward Nkiru. She stood. Kola's face changed again. Nkiru walked to the stage and took the microphone. Independent counsel, auditors, bank representatives, cooperative lawyers, and land registry officers are present, she said. They were invited to verify specific documents. All presentations will be recorded. Anyone who interferes with a witness or removes a record will be reported. The security officers stepped away from Zara. Kola moved closer to Ikenna. Sir, we should discuss privately. No. The company's reputation has already entered the room. Kola lowered his voice. You approved the project. I did. The answer surprised him. Ikenna climbed the stage. Bring the original cooperative title documents, he said. A lawyer representing the cooperative approached with a sealed envelope. He introduced himself and displayed the certified land records on the screen. The land was purchased in the name of Founders Estate Cooperative, he explained. Okafor Meridian held a charge securing construction loans. Those loans were fully repaid by August 2024. The charge should have been discharged. Faith interrupted. The company retained beneficial control under the welfare agreement. The lawyer shook his head. No registered instrument gives the company beneficial ownership after repayment. A land registry officer confirmed the position. The pending discharge did not convert the company into owner, she said. It preserved a security interest that should have ended after the loan was settled. Mercy lifted her chin. The first lie had broken. Nkiru called for the cooperative resolution authorizing sale. Faith presented it. The resolution claimed 53 members attended, and 49 voted in favor. Zara provided death certificates for 3 listed attendees. A hospital administrator joined by video and confirmed 2 more members were admitted outside Ogun State on the meeting date. One elderly resident stood. "That signature is not mine," he said, pointing at the screen. Another stood. "Mine too." A handwriting examiner explained that 6 signatures showed identical movement patterns, inconsistent with independent signing. Kohler shifted his weight. "These are technical disagreements," he said. "The majority still supported relocation. Then show their bank credits," Nkiru replied. A representative from the payment bank stepped forward. He had brought a reconciliation statement under legal consent from the residents. "Of the 58 payments marked completed," he said, 11 reached named beneficiaries. 47 did not. Murmurs became angry voices. Kohler lifted both hands. Payment processing was outsourced. "To whom?" Ikenna asked. "Community consultants." The screen changed again. Blue Haven Advisory. Green Rock Community Services. Their registration details appeared beside the payment amounts. Mona 92 million. Mona 94 million. The service department address linked to Kohler appeared beneath Blue Haven. The name Marcus Daniels appeared beneath Green Rock. A journalist called out, "Is Marcus Daniels your brother?" Kohler did not answer. "Kohler," Ikenna said. "Yes." The single word sounded smaller than the hall. "Did the board approve related party payments to your brother?" It was not a related party transaction in substance. Was it disclosed? We were under deadline pressure. Was it disclosed? No. The second lie broke. Faith stepped toward the microphone. The companies provided community engagement and settlement administration. Nkiru looked at her. "Where are the reports?" "Being compiled." "After Blyde 186 million was paid?" Faith's face tightened. Next came the digital signature evidence. The forensic investigator displayed access logs showing Ikenna's certificate had been used from a workstation inside Kohler's office at 4:17 a.m. on March 18. Kohler shook his head. "Remote access can be spoofed." "It can," the investigator said. "That is why we reviewed building access records. Your biometric entry was recorded at 3:52 a.m. Faith Adeyemi's entry was recorded at 4:01 a.m. Cameras swung toward Faith. Her face lost color. Ikenna looked at her. "Did I authorize use of my certificate that morning?" Faith swallowed. "You authorized emergency filing authority." "That was not my question." "No direct authorization was obtained that morning." "Did you apply my digital signature to the demolition approval?" "I processed a document under delegated authority." "Did you?" Faith's eyes moved toward Kohler. "Yes." The third lie broke. Then Zara's alleged benign 7 million voucher appeared on the screen. Kohler seemed almost relieved. Whatever administrative failures occurred, the diversion by Miss Bello remains separate. A document examiner enlarged Zara's signature beside her 2021 personnel form. The curves matched pixel for pixel. That level of identical alignment does not occur when a person signs twice by hand, the examiner said. The signature on the voucher is a digital copy. He highlighted the date field. The approval code was generated 2 days after the stated transfer. The voucher was assembled retrospectively. A bank investigator presented the transaction path. The Flinders 9. 7 million had never entered any account controlled by Zara. It moved from the company to a payment agent, then to 3 intermediary accounts. 2 cash withdrawals were made using identification linked to a contractor engaged by Blue Haven Advisory. Kohler gripped the podium. "This does not prove who prepared the voucher." "No," Nkiru said. "But this may help." Sade stepped forward with Faith's settlement email. The screen displayed the offer. Mulder 25 million. Ghana posting. Withdrawal of allegations. A required statement that management never ordered records to be altered. The hall exploded with voices. Faith raised her hands. It was a standard employment settlement. Standard? Zara said. Why was payment tied to a false statement? Faith did not answer. Kola turned to Ikenna. This is becoming theater. No, Ikenna said. The theater was the banner. Kola stepped closer. His control had cracked, but anger gave him a new kind of courage. You want to stand there as savior? He asked. Ikenna's gaze did not move. Kola pointed toward the project rendering. You approved this expansion. You wanted growth. You pushed for the American deal and demanded Nigeria deliver stronger numbers without disturbing you. You told me to move fast. You gave me authority. Now cameras are here, so you will wash your hands with my name. Nobody interrupted. Kola's voice rose. You knew the land was needed. Yes, Ikenna said. You signed the framework. Yes. You stored the certificate. Yes. You ignored internal details because Atlanta was more important. Ikenna looked toward Mercy, then toward Zara, then at the rows of workers who had spent years building his company. Yes, he said again. Kola faltered. He had expected denial. Ikenna took the microphone. I approved the expansion framework. I required consent, independent legal advice, full payment, and replacement housing before any relocation. Those conditions were removed without my approval. He paused, but that is not the complete truth. The hall became quiet. I allowed too much authority to remain in 2 offices. I approved a digital signing system without enough safeguards. I did not ensure residents could reach the board directly. I spent 11 months reading reports prepared by people whose decisions I was supposed to supervise. He looked at the 19 letters. My signature was misused. My absence was also used. I did not order these people to be humiliated. But this happened under my leadership, under my logo, and through a system I allowed to become blind. Zara lowered her eyes. Mercy watched him without smiling. Ikenna continued. Therefore, I will not present myself as the only victim in this matter. The words traveled through the hall more deeply than shouting could have. He turned toward Nkiru. Madam Chair, please record the following decisions. She nodded. The Meridian Gateway project is suspended immediately. Applause began among the residents. Ikenna raised one hand. Please, let the record be clear. The applause stopped. No settlement signed under pressure will be recognized. No check will require surrender of legal rights. No demolition will occur. Company access for Kola Daniels and Faith Adeyemi is suspended pending independent investigation. Kola stepped forward. You cannot remove me in public without due process. I am not convicting you. I am preserving evidence. You are destroying the company. No. I am stopping the company from destroying people. The hall reacted with a low wave of sound. Ikenna faced the audience again. All relevant records will be transferred to independent counsel and appropriate authorities. The audit will include related party payments, forged resolutions, digital certificate use, compensation accounts, employee retaliation, and my own governance decisions. Nkiru looked at him carefully. Ikenna continued. For 90 days, I will step back from direct operational authority in Nigeria. The Board Audit Committee will supervise corrective action. My role will also be reviewed. This time, even Zara looked surprised. Kola laughed without humor. You think stepping aside makes you noble? No. Then what does it make you? Subject to the same process I am asking others to face. Kola looked around the hall. The officials who had shaken his hand now avoided his eyes. The development partners whispered urgently. Reporters typed into phones. He turned to Faith. She had already moved away from him. Kola Daniels, Nkiru said, please surrender your company phone access card, and laptop to the forensic officer. You may retain independent counsel. Kola stared at her. Do you know who built Nigeria operations? Several retired workers laughed bitterly. Mercy spoke. We know who built it. Kola looked at her. For once, he had no insult ready. He removed his access card and placed it on the table. The sound was small. It carried. Faith did the same. They were not dragged away. No police officer burst through the doors. No one stopped them. They walked down from the stage beneath the eyes of the people they had called old, useless, poor, and replaceable. One by one, the cooperative members stood. Not to cheer, not to attack. They simply stood. Kola passed through them with his head raised at first. Halfway down the aisle, his shoulders dropped. The silence followed him to the door. After he left, a resident began to cry. Another held her. Zara knelt to gather the scattered files. Ikenna bent down beside her. For several seconds, they picked up papers together. One file had a shoe print across the cover. Ikenna wiped it with his handkerchief. Zara looked at him. Do not clean the original, she said automatically. It may need to be photographed as evidence. He stopped. Then he smiled for the first time that day. Yes, Madam Record's integrity. She did not smile back yet, but her shoulders loosened. At the front of the hall, Mercy held the envelope containing her check. A company assistant approached nervously. Ma, should I collect it? Mercy removed the check and tore it in half. Gasps rose. She kept the release form intact. This one is evidence, she said. Yusuf laughed aloud. Outside, the yellow excavator stood on a trailer, waiting for instructions. The contractor had brought the machine to the Civic Hall as part of the ceremonial groundbreaking. Ikenna walked outside with Mercy, Zara, Yusuf, Nkiru, and the cooperative lawyer. The contractor's supervisor approached with a ring of keys. Sir, what should we do with equipment? Ikenna looked at Mercy. Mercy looked at Zara. Zara looked toward the estate road. Remove it from the property, she said. The supervisor handed the keys to the cooperative lawyer while transport was arranged. It was only a machine. Still, when Mercy saw the keys resting in the lawyer's palm, she closed her eyes. For 8 months, the machine had represented everything they could not stop. Now it could not move without their consent. That evening, Founder's estate filled with people. Residents returned from relatives' houses. Neighbors brought food. Someone connected speakers and played old high-life music. Children ran between adults, unnamed and laughing, while elders sat outside damaged homes and talked past sunset. Ikenna arrived without media. No one announced him. He found Mercy sitting beside the clinic wall, where a painted demolition mark still crossed the bricks. May I sit? He asked. She pointed to an empty chair. For a while, they watched people move through the estate. You spoke well today, Mercy said. Thank you. Speaking is easy. I know. Do you? I am beginning to. Mercy nodded toward Zara, who was helping residents make an inventory of damaged property. That girl nearly lost everything. I will restore her position. Ask her what she wants. She deserves promotion. Ask her. Ikenna accepted the correction. Mercy looked at the demolition mark. Kola will say he was only chasing growth. He already did. Growth is good. Yes. But anything that grows by burying people is not development. It is appetite. The evening wind moved the edge of her scarf. Ikenna looked at the clinic wall. I cannot undo what happened. No, I can repair it. Some of it. And the rest. Mercy rested both hands on her walking stick. You remember. The first court order came 4 days later. It did not declare anyone guilty. It did not return the estate permanently. It did something smaller and more necessary. It froze the land transaction. No transfer could be registered. No structure could be demolished. No resident could be removed until the ownership dispute and allegations of fraud were reviewed. For the people of Founder's Estate, that temporary order felt like the first full breath after months beneath water. Still, relief did not repair leaking roofs. It did not restore medicine damaged in the clinic. It did not erase Zara's name from websites that had already called her a thief. Justice had started. It had not finished. Okafor Meridian appointed an independent administrator for Nigeria operations. Nkiru chaired the corrective committee. The committee included employee representatives, an external compliance expert, and one cooperative nominee selected by the residents. Mercy refused the nomination. "I have spent enough years inside meetings," she said. "Let somebody whose knees are still strong go and argue." The cooperative chose Yusuf. During the first week, investigators collected laptops, phones, visitor logs, payment instructions, board papers, email archives, and security footage. Employees were told not to delete anything. A hotline operated by an outside firm opened for reports. Within 48 hours, 37 messages arrived. Some were irrelevant. Some were angry complaints about supervisors. 9 contained details that could be verified. A procurement officer reported being instructed to backdate a contractor evaluation. A payroll clerk described a list of community liaison payments made without recipient identification. A former driver produced photographs of residents being pressured to enter buses for a supposed consultation meeting that never happened. The problem had been wider than one forged resolution. The system had trained people to keep quiet. Now silence was breaking. Ikenna spent the 90-day review period without executive signing authority in Nigeria. He remained group chairman, but he could not approve local contracts, hire senior managers, or direct the investigation. At first, the restriction irritated him. He would ask for a decision and be told to submit it through the committee. He would request a file and be asked to state the purpose. He would propose a repair budget and be reminded that residents needed to approve the scope. One afternoon, he complained to Nkiru, "This process is too slow." She looked at him over her glasses. "Now you understand why Kola asked you to remove it." Ikenna sat back. The lesson was not pleasant. Good governance rarely felt powerful to the powerful. It felt like delay. It felt like questions. It felt like being told no. That was exactly why it mattered. Zara remained suspended on paper for another 16 days while independent counsel reviewed her access to records. She hated every day of it. People assumed Ikenna could restore her job with one call. He could not. More importantly, he chose not to interfere. Said explained the process to Zara. "If he orders your reinstatement before the review finishes, Kola's lawyers will say the investigation was political. So I sit at home while my name is still dirty. For now, that is not fair." No, process and fairness are related, but they are not always the same speed. Zara started helping the cooperative organize its records. She built a digital register of every member's contribution, occupancy history, beneficiary, and legal document. She trained 2 younger administrative volunteers to scan files properly and name them by date. "No WhatsApp screenshots as permanent records," she told them. "Save the original file. Record who sent it. Keep backup." One volunteer groaned. "Auntie Zara, this is plenty work. Plenty work is better than plenty regret." Mercy sat nearby, sorting old receipts. "Listen to her," she said. "Paper is her boyfriend." The room burst into laughter. Zara laughed too. It was the first easy laugh she had given in weeks. On the 17th day, the independent review issued its preliminary finding. Zara had accessed the relevant files through her assigned reconciliation queue. Her copying of documents was justified under the company's records preservation rule because she had reasonable grounds to suspect alteration. No money had entered any account controlled by her. No evidence linked her to the $7 million diversion. The suspension was lifted. The company published a correction through the same channels that had circulated the accusation. It named Zara fully. It stated that the allegation was unsupported. It apologized for releasing her identity before the investigation concluded. It confirmed she would receive salary for the suspension period and reimbursement of documented legal expenses. The correction did not travel as quickly as the scandal. Lies often run. Truth usually carries files. Still, it moved. Some blogs deleted their stories. Others added updates. Former colleagues began sending messages. "I always knew you were innocent." Zara read that sentence 9 times from 9 different people who had avoided her when she needed them. She replied to none. Her former supervisor called. "Zara, I am sorry. I was afraid." She held the phone in silence. "I have 2 children," the woman continued. "When they told us communication with you could be treated as interference, I did not know what to do." Zara looked around the cooperative office. "I understand fear," she said. "Can you forgive me? I can understand you without pretending your silence did not hurt." The woman began to cry. Zara did not rush to comfort her. "Next time," Zara said, "ask for the instruction in writing." The company offered Zara her old position. She declined. Ikenna asked to meet her at the training center courtyard. This time, Zara chose the location. Mercy joined them for the first 10 minutes, drank 1 malt drink, then announced that young people should discuss their office grammar without her. When she left, Ikenna placed a letter before Zara. "We are creating a director of ethics and records integrity role," he said. "I want you to take it." Zara did not open the letter. "Direct appointment? Yes, no." Ikenna blinked. "You have not read the terms. I heard the problem." "What problem?" "The chairman wants to reward the whistleblower with a senior title. It will look good. It may also create another role dependent on your personal favor." He leaned back. "What do you propose?" "Open recruitment, written responsibilities. Independent reporting line to the audit committee. Fixed protection from arbitrary dismissal. Competency requirements. Publish the process. And if someone else gets the job, then someone else gets it. You may be the most difficult person I have ever tried to promote. I am trying to make sure the next Zara does not need a billionaire to like her." Ikenna smiled. "That sentence will enter the job description." It did not. But the principal did. The role was advertised internally and externally. Candidates completed written assessments, interviews, and a case exercise involving a fictional procurement complaint. Zara applied. She did not come first in every category. She came first overall. 3 months after the Civic Hall hearing, Zara Bello became Director of Ethics and Records Integrity. Her office was not beside Ikenna's. It was 1 floor below the Audit Committee Secretariat, with a separate reporting channel and authority to preserve records during suspected misconduct. Her first action was not dramatic. She changed the complaint form. The old form asked employees to select their department, supervisor, and staff number before describing a concern. Workers feared they would be identified. The new system allowed confidential reporting to an external provider. Every complaint received a tracking number. Retaliation allegations were reviewed separately. Senior executives could no longer close a complaint involving their own departments. Her second action was to ban the phrase welfare occupant from founders' estate records. The correct term became cooperative member or lawful resident. "Language is not small," she told the management team. "Once you reduce an owner to a beneficiary, It becomes easier to take what belongs to that person. Some executives thought she was making too much of words. Then she displayed the old settlement forms. Nobody argued again. The repairs at Founder's estate began under cooperative supervision, not company supervision. That difference caused many meetings. The company's engineers wanted standard materials. Residents wanted stronger roofing sheets because heavy rain had damaged the old ones. The finance team proposed repairing only houses directly affected by demolition activity. The cooperative insisted that water and drainage failures caused by the project fencing must also be addressed. Arguments lasted 6 weeks. In the end, the repair plan covered all 41 bungalows, the clinic, drainage channels, water supply, street lighting, and accessibility ramps for residents with limited mobility. The budget was behind $284 million. Ikenna offered to pay personally. The committee refused. This is corporate remediation, Ninkiru told him. Not personal philanthropy. He accepted it. The company paid. Every contract was published to cooperative members. Bid summaries were shared. Residents could report poor workmanship. Payments were tied to inspected milestones. The first contractor tried to substitute thinner roofing sheets. A retired warehouse checker measured them. The batch was rejected. Old man. These materials are within industry tolerance, the site manager complained. The retired checker tapped the specification sheet. Then industry should learn to read contract. Mercy laughed until she coughed. The clinic reopened 7 months after the attempted demolition. Its new name was Mercy Community Health Center, but Mercy objected when the sign was proposed. "I am still alive," she said. "Why are you naming building after me like funeral?" The cooperative voted anyway. They added a smaller line beneath the name. Owned and governed by Founder's Estate Cooperative. That line pleased her more. The legal case moved slowly. Kohler's lawyers challenged the audit authority, the seizure of devices, the land injunction, and the admissibility of digital logs. Faith argued that she had acted under executive instruction. The development partner claimed it had relied on company representations and sought compensation for delay. Months passed. Then 11 months. Witnesses gave statements. Bank records were traced. The payment agent in Ibadan identified the contractor who collected cash. The contractor admitted he received instructions through Blue Haven Advisory. Emails connected the advisory company to Kohler's private account. Draft documents on Faith's laptop showed the cooperative conditions being deleted from the project memo. Neither Kohler nor Faith was convicted in a single dramatic afternoon. There were hearings, adjournments, applications, arguments over procedure. The residents became tired of attending court. Yusuf reminded them that slow justice was still work. Eventually, a settlement and series of regulatory findings produced real consequences. The land transfer was cancelled. The company's old security charge was formally discharged. The cooperative received clear registered control of the estate. Funds traced to related entities were recovered through asset sales and negotiated repayment. Kohler was removed from office and barred, under the company's governance settlement, from holding any management position within the group. Evidence concerning false records and fund diversion remained with the authorities for criminal proceedings. Faith lost her position. Her conduct was referred to the professional disciplinary body, governing legal practitioners. She also faced civil claims for her role in preparing misleading releases and concealing complaints. The development partner did not escape review. Internal emails showed its project team had questioned whether residents truly consented but continued, because Kohler promised the issue was administratively settled. The partner agreed to withdraw from the site and contribute to legal and remediation costs. Accountability moved outward. That mattered. One bad man had not created the whole harm alone. He had needed people who signed, people who looked away, people who accepted convenient explanations, and people who believed future profit excused present cruelty. Ikenna's 90-day review produced findings that were painful but precise. He had not known about the forged signatures or diverted funds. He had not authorized coercion. But he had approved an unsafe delegation structure, failed to enforce review deadlines, and allowed affected workers to have no direct escalation route. The board required him to complete governance reforms before resuming full operational authority. His performance award for the year was cancelled. A portion of his compensation funded the independent ethics program. Some business associates told him he had been too honest. One said privately, "You should have blamed Cola and moved on." Investors do not like leaders who confess weakness. Ikenna answered, "Investors should dislike leaders who hide it more." The company's share value fell during the investigation. 2 contracts were delayed. A lender demanded additional oversight. Then, slowly, confidence returned. Not because the scandal disappeared, because the response could be examined. New digital signing rules required live confirmation and dual approval. No executive certificate could remain active during international travel without specific purpose. Welfare and cooperative funds received quarterly independent audits. Any relocation affecting workers or former workers required independent legal advice paid from a protected fund, but selected by the affected people. Most importantly, employee complaints no longer passed only through management. At the first annual open forum after the reforms, a junior warehouse assistant challenged a new shift policy directly before senior executives. The room became uncomfortable. Ikenna smiled. Discomfort was evidence the channel worked. Founder's estate changed too. Residents established clear succession records so that family claims would not become confused after a member died. They elected a rotating finance committee. Contributions, expenses, and minutes were displayed monthly in the cooperative office. Zara trained them to keep digital backups. Mercy still preferred paper. "Cloud can fall," she said. "The cloud is not in the sky, Ma," Zara replied. "Then why do they call it cloud?" Nobody had a satisfying answer. 1 year after the Civic Hall hearing, the health center held its reopening ceremony. This time, there was no luxury banner. A simple white cloth hung across the entrance. Plastic chairs stood beneath 2 canopies. Residents cooked rice, moa, and peppered chicken in large pots behind the clinic. Drivers, nurses, mechanics, warehouse staff, lawyers, and company employees mixed without reserved rows. Ikenna arrived in a cobalt blue jacket, but without a convoy. Zara wore an orange dress with a pale aqua scarf. Mercy wore cream again, now with a new blue head tie gifted by the cooperative women. A journalist asked Ikenna to cut the ribbon. He refused. "This place belongs to the cooperative." Mercy handed the scissors to the oldest surviving founding member, a retired refrigeration mechanic whose hands still carried scars from years of work. He cut the cloth. The crowd cheered. Inside the clinic, one wall held photographs of the estate's construction. Workers carrying blocks, women serving food. Ikenna in his 20s, standing beside an old refrigerated truck, Mercy wearing her nurse's uniform. Another wall held a framed display. 19 letters. The originals remained in secure storage. The framed copies showed every date, every stamp, and every unanswered appeal. Ikenna stopped before them. He read the first letter again, then the last. Mercy came to stand beside him. "You framed them," he said. The cooperative voted. To remind people what happened. To remind people what can happen. He looked at the stamps. All 19 entered my office. Yes. Not one reached me. Yes. A group of young employees entered the clinic behind them. Zara was explaining the new escalation system. Ikenna listened. If your complaint concerns your supervisor, it does not go back to that supervisor, Zara said. If it concerns an executive, the executive cannot close it. You will receive a tracking number. Keep it. Follow up. And please, do not send only voice notes. Write dates. Write names. Save documents. Mercy smiled. Paper boyfriend is teaching again. Ikenna laughed. Then his expression became serious. Mummy Mercy, yes? Have you forgiven me? She turned toward him fully. Around them, the clinic buzzed with conversation. Plates clinked outside. Somebody tested a blood pressure machine. A woman called for more chairs. Merce considered the question. Forgiveness is not a ceremony, my son. I know. No, you like saying you know. Ikenna accepted the correction with a small nod. Mercy pointed toward the framed letters. If you want forgiveness, do not come and collect it like a ward. Keep doing the work. He looked at the wall. For how long? As long as people can use your name to frighten another human being. That may be the rest of my life. Yes. She began walking toward the door. Then she turned back. And stop calling me mummy when you want soft answer. Ikenna laughed again. Yes, Mrs. Okoro, better. Outside, Zara stood near the cooperative office with a box of newly printed ownership summaries. Each resident would receive a clear document explaining the estate structure, voting rights, succession procedure, and complaint channels. Ikenna approached her. You turned a ceremony into a records workshop. Ceremonies finish. Records remain. You should put that on your office wall. I already did. He looked toward the repaired houses. New roofs reflected the afternoon sun. Drainage channels ran clean beside the road. The clinic's ramp curved gently toward the entrance. The old demolition mark had been preserved beneath a small transparent cover rather than painted over. A plaque beside it read, "This mark remains to show what nearly happened when authority stopped listening." Ikenna read the sentence. Mercy's idea? Mine. I thought you would want it erased. Zara shook her head. Erasure caused the problem. They stood in silence. Across the compound, residents called Mrs. to join a group photograph. She complained that photographs always caught her when she was chewing. They waited while she finished one piece of chicken. Ikenna watched the people gather. A year earlier, he would have looked at the estate and seen a welfare project attached to his company. Now he saw something else. Workers had traded pieces of their lives for those houses. Night shifts, salary deductions, missed holidays, injured backs, years standing beside machines that never learned their names. Their dignity did not come from his apology. It had existed before he arrived. His duty was to stop his power from denying it. Zara closed the box of documents. Sir, they are waiting for you in the photograph. Ikenna shook his head. Founding members first. You are a founding member, not of this cooperative. Mercy heard him from across the yard. Come here, Ikenna. Do not start forming humble and delay everybody. Laughter rose. He joined them. But he stood at the back. The camera clicked. No one knelt. No one begged. No one held a check like salvation. They stood on land that belonged to them. That was the victory. 6 months after the clinic reopened, Zara attended this induction of 32 new supervisors at the Sagamu Training Center. She entered the hall carrying one thin file, no dramatic presentation, no expensive consultant. On the front table, she placed 3 items: a torn copy of the demolition notice, the forged 1-9, 7 million voucher, and one of the envelopes used to send the 19 letters. The supervisors stared at them. Zara pointed to the notice. This paper was treated as authority because it carried a logo. She pointed to the voucher. This one was treated as truth because it carried a signature. Then she touched the envelope. This one carried the truth. It was ignored because the people who wrote it had no title. Nobody shifted in their chair. Zara looked across the room. When you become a supervisor, people will start adjusting their voices around you. Some will tell you only what they think you want to hear. Others will remain silent because your anger can affect their food. That silence is not respect. A new warehouse supervisor raised his hand. What should we do when a worker bypasses the chain of command? First, ask why the chain did not carry the message, Zara replied. A chain of command is for coordination. It is not a fence around truth. Another supervisor asked, what if the complaint is false? Investigate it fairly. Protecting a complainant does not mean declaring the complaint true. It means refusing to punish somebody before facts are known. At the back of the hall, Ikenna stood unnoticed beside the open door. He had come for another meeting. He stayed to listen. Zara held up the forged voucher. Never sign what you have not read. Never allow another person to use your approval because you are too busy. Never call record-keeping bureaucracy when that record may one day protect an innocent person. Ikenna felt several supervisors glance toward the door and recognize him. He did not enter. This was Zara's room. Her authority did not need his presence to become real. After the session, the supervisors left in small groups. Some discussed complaint procedures. Others photographed the new ethics handbook. One young manager remained behind to ask how to report pressure from a senior executive without exposing his identity. Zara showed him the independent channel. When the hall emptied, she noticed Ikenna. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to hear you warn people not to behave like me. I did not mention your name. You did not need to. He picked up the envelope from the table. Do new supervisors understand why you show them these? Some will. Some will understand only after power tests them. And if they fail, we document it, we correct it. If necessary, we remove them. Ikenna returned the envelope. No sentimental speech? Not every lesson needs music, sir. They walked out together. Near the training yard, a driver had stopped a senior manager from entering a restricted reversing zone without a safety vest. The manager looked irritated, but he stepped back and put on the vest. Ikenna watched the exchange. Before the scandal, the driver might have remained silent. Now the rule was stronger than the title. That small moment meant more to him than any award. It showed that reform was no longer a promise spoken into microphones. It had entered ordinary behavior. And that was where dignity either lived or died. From my own point of view, the deepest crime in what happened at Founder's estate was not only the money that disappeared. Money can sometimes be traced. Buildings can be repaired. Positions can be replaced. The deeper crime was the belief that retired workers could be erased because they no longer had influence. Leadership is not measured by the number of people who obey when a powerful person enters a room. It is measured by whether the weakest person in that organization can speak the truth without losing a salary, a home, or a name. Charity may allow a rich person to feel generous. Justice does something more difficult. Justice allows another human being to stand without bowing. And whenever a system makes truth travel through the same hands that benefit from hiding it, 19 letters can enter an office and still remain unheard. So keep records, ask questions, read before you sign, demand copies. Protect the person who speaks when silence would be easier. Because dignity is not a reward given by wealth. It belongs to every human being before money, title, uniform, age, or status, enters the room.